Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL and the NBA. Got a brand new video for you guys. We're going to discuss the 3-game slate today on the association. But before I get started, like always, guys, I appreciate you guys drop a like. It definitely helps my channel. Greatly appreciate it. And if you have not, as of yet, subscribe to the channel, become part of the DFS Zone community here. Please do so down below. Click that red subscribe button right next to it, that bell icon, turn that on. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA, NFL lineup advice videos, as well as live shows, okay? With that being said, today, Tuesday, October the 23rd, 2018, we have a 3-game slate in the association, and I apologize. I was swamped today. I did not get a chance to do this video earlier, but I got home and I said to myself, you know what? I might as well throw a video in there real quickly. It's better something than nothing at all, and better late than never. Because I know there's a couple of you guys out there that are new DFS, NBA DFS players, and I'm sure that by now you've gotten a lot of information from a lot of other sources here on YouTube. But I figured you may be interested to know more or less what I have to say about today's slate. So I figured let me just do something really comprised, short and sweet and quick. So I'm just gonna go over a couple of guys. I normally give you a stud 5 and a value 5. Not gonna quite do that today. I'm just gonna run off a couple of names that I think are people that we should definitely consider today if you're making lineups today and if you are a new NBA DFS player. So right away, I'm going to go to the slate. Obviously, right now, I still don't know as of yet if Ben Simmons is going to play. The last I heard was much earlier in the day because I get a notification on my phone is that he was very doubtful. So chances are he is not playing. We're not going to worry about Ben Simmons. I'm going to come right down to Alfred Payton. I think he's in a good matchup here. Versus, let me just close this. Yeah, Alfred Payton is in a good spot, man. 10.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He is playing pretty well thus far. Obviously, in a hype, he's on a team here that they basically love to pace up the game. They definitely like to get as many shots as they can. They got a lot of explosive offensive players in, of course, AD, Merichek, and, of course, Drew Holiday. And then you throw in now Julius Randle and Alfred Payton. They got a really nice solid 5 here. But 28 and 39 his first 2 games, man. We go to the cruncher real quick. And let me just move this on the cruncher here. If anything, if anybody's interested in that, that will be in the description box below. That's actually under DraftKings right now. So when you do sign up for the cruncher, you'll be able to utilize, be able to draw up your lineups and look at all this information on Fanduel as well as DraftKings. So I happen to have it on DraftKings at that moment because that was what I was looking at early this morning before I left. But anyway, getting back to this here. So again, Alfred Payton is who I'm interested in. As you can see here, the 25th. That's 25th. The defense. Now remember, this is early on in the year, ladies and gentlemen. So just always keep that in mind. We're going to get a few more games in here, and then we're going to get a better gauge of who are the better defending teams and so on. To tell you right now, nobody's playing good defense at all right now. Everybody, it seems like everybody's playing a paced-up game in the NFL right now. In the NBA right now. Everybody seems to be playing really at a fast pace. I mean, got guys like the Knicks, like my Knicks, playing fast-paced. Milwaukee, even Minnesota. A lot of these teams that were better defensive teams, they're all of a sudden, man. I mean, look at San Antonio. I mean, with LA last night, just crazy. So it has been exciting to see, but at the same time, at some point or another, we want to see some defense. So with time, we're going to get better an understanding of where everybody's at. But right now, we're going to go with fantasy points. We're going to go with usage. We're going to go with pass games against the opponent and so on and so forth. Just basic statistics. So Alfred Payton, again, 28 and 39 last few games. We look at his usage. He's not going to have high usage rate because he's on a team that you got 3 monsters on the team that definitely take the bulk of the shots. His whole thing that he needs to do is when he gets opportunities is to score and basically do all the other stuff that he normally does, which is he's willing to rebound and he's willing to pass the ball. And he has a tendency of time getting a steal and a block, and that helps. So Alfred Payton for me is in play. In a good matchup here, going against LA Clippers right now at the moment are giving up 32.9 fantasy points per game early on here in the season, 2-point guards, and they did finish up at around 28.5 last year. So they have had their issues. They do have a pretty good defender in Patrick Beverley. So, I mean, Beverley is back and is healthy. That was all based on last year, obviously. But so far this year, the guards have definitely been scoring on them. But Patrick Beverley is a pretty good defender. So, Payton. So, again, I just like the numbers. Last year, 31, the last time he played against the Clippers, 29 minutes. The usage rate is going to be below 20. That's fine and dandy. 5 of 11. 10 points. I mean, solid. Look, 3 steals, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. He does a little bit of everything, and that's pretty cool. I like the matchup. I like the factors that he is going to get a lot of opportunity to be on the floor. The more he's on the floor, the better it is for him as far as fantasy points. When we come down, so Alfred Payton is in play for me, man. Definitely. Murray, more than likely out. That's going to open up the doors to obviously some value in other areas. When I come down here, I really like Ish Smith here. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be on TJ McConnell due to the fact that Ben Simmons is going to be out. I'm going to have, don't get me wrong, I'm going to have some lineups with TJ McConnell on it. No doubt about it. I'm not here to tell you that he is not a fair play. At 4,000, you have to throw him in there. He's capable of getting you 25, 30. There are times last year where he put up 35, 40. So he's capable. And what I love about TJ McConnell is that he's pretty scrappy. But I like Ish Smith here as opposed to Reggie Jackson and him are both kind of like splitting a lot of time together, and it's been like that even going into last year. And even when Jackson was gone, Ish Smith was definitely doing pretty well as the starter. But I like Smith here with the 4,600 price as opposed to Reggie Jackson's 63. So I kind of like that a little bit better in this matchup simply because if there's no Ben Simmons, I like the matchup between Smith and McConnell. I mean, who's not going to like that? So you always got to look at it. You always have to have the flip side mind process on this when you're playing DFSs. Sometimes a guy could be out. It could benefit both teams. It could benefit the team that they don't have to face Ben Simmons. In this case, Detroit is going to face McConnell with their guards. And I kind of like Reggie Jackson and Ish Smith against Mr. McConnell. But because of price, I think I could get good value off of Ish Smith, man. 27, 15, 3, and 5 the last few games. He's averaging 13 points a game right now coming off the bench, 1.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 20.8 fantasy points. At 4,600, you pretty much need 23 from him. And on DK, he's only 4,100 on DK. You only need 20 there. So there is room. On top of that, this team right now at the moment, real quickly, they are giving up, at the moment, they're giving up 24, actually 18.3 fantasy points per game. I mean, they're not giving up a whole lot, but at the same time, I think this just simply knowing that Ben Simmons is not defending, and that's obviously the reason why they are 18.3 fantasy points per minute to guards is because of Ben Simmons being the guy who's been defending a lot of those guards. But it's going to be McConnell today, so I think Ish Smith is definitely in play. I'm not going to even go to the cruncher because I'm trying to get the video out as quickly as I can to you guys and give you some plays. I think McConnell is in play, and Beverly could be a sneaky play too, but I would think McConnell is a better play due to the 4,000 being 20. You need pretty much 20 from him, and on DK he's 3,800, so you need 18. I think he could definitely get that in this matchup here. So McConnell will probably be the very low value play as well as Ish Smith, and of course I definitely like Alfred Payne. We go to shooting guard. I mean, man, you look at Holiday, Harris, those guys are solid. I would tell you right now, either one of these two is fine. You got Holiday at 7,800. You need 38 from him here on FanDuel. On DK, he's 7,400. You need about 37. Pretty much almost the same price as far as fantasy points that you need. He's at about 36 fantasy points per game, so he's right there. 12.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 9 assists. And he just put up a 43 spot on Sacramento. He's going up against the Clippers. They are giving up 21.5 fantasy points per game, which is very little. But, they gave 26. They gave, Gordon of the Rockets, they gave up 33 to him and then 26.6 fantasy points to Gary Harris. And Holiday, the tons of touches that this young man gets is going to definitely be of importance to him. 43.2, 27. 5 of 11, 1 of 5. He just does a lot, man. 15 points from the floor. Look at his 3 steals. He just gets it done. We're going to go over against the Clippers. He's been marvelous against the Clippers. In 4 games last year, he pretty much averaged about 50, I would say 51, 52 fantasy points if you calculate those last 3 games. And had a couple poor shooting games, but not too bad, taking monstrous amount of shots. And, of course, the minutes are there. The usage rate, I love anybody who's at 22% or better, especially if he's a stud. And that's definitely in the right wheelhouse for Mr. Holiday. So, again, I love Drew. He was a big-time help for me last year. He made me win a lot of money throughout the year last year. If you were with me when I started the channel back 7 months ago, I was always praising how much I like Mr. Holiday and how many times I had picked him in my lineups and that I recommended to those back then. It's no different now. It's the first time I am bringing him out to you guys. All right, so Holiday's in play, man. Trying to be quick here. Next guy is Gary Harris. You got to consider Gary Harris. Harris here, He's going up against Sacramento, and we know that Jamal Murray is more than likely not going to play, and even if he plays, it just opens the door for more Gary Harris, and he's been fantastic thus far. Not only that, they don't have Barton, so it definitely opens up the minutes more for Harris as well as more touches. He's at 22 points a game right now already after 3 games, 3.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 35.6 fantasy points per game. He needs, at 7,200, he needs about 36 here, and he's averaging about 36 already, and on DK, he's 6,500, so he's not a bad play there as well. You only need 32 pretty much to cover there. 32 definitely at around 6,700. And the upside here is if there's no Murray and obviously there's no Barton, you definitely have room for him to get more massive minutes. He's already getting 34 to 35 a game. I could see him being in that same vicinity, maybe even a slightly little bit more. Obviously, he's going to open up some value for Mr. Craig and others up in the front court. But Gary Harris and as well as Mr. Jokic, they're going to be very important for Denver today. You know, very, very important. These guys are going to get a ton of touches, especially if Jamal Murray is out, which I believe he will be. All right, so Gary Harrison, like I said, Gary Harrison played Sacramento, 27.4 fantasy points thus far given up this year, two shooting guards. I know, like I said, it's very early on, ladies and gentlemen, but I am basing it on just what we got now in the small sample as well as what he has done against the team over the last year. And we go over to Gary Harris. And, of course, the usage rate, we love that. He's got plenty of that. He's taking massive shots. Got 20 from the floor here, 9 from 3 in the last game. That's a total of 29 shots. He had 15 from the floor and 4 from 3 the prior game, 19 shots. He's going to get the shots. He's going to get the usage. He's going to get the minutes. He's going to need to score. Against Sacramento last year, he only had one great game. I'm not bearing it on what he did last year. I still think he's playing very well right now. I think the situation puts him that he has to be able to perform. And not only that, he's going to get the usage and the minutes higher today. So it's more of an importance because of the possibilities of having Jamal Murray out. So I love Harris here, man. I'm not going to, sometimes you just can't bear it on all that. You have to look at the matchup and look at the opportunity. And I see that he is able to get, he's going to be able to get 32, 33 here. I think he can even get 40 against this team tonight. So Gary Harris is in play for me. Other than that, in the bottom tier here, obviously, you know, Torrey Craig is in play, man. You know, I mean, 3,900, he could be one of those bottom guys here on FanDuel. If he doesn't pan out, hey, you know, that poor score is going to be wiped out the window. They'll take the top 8 scores. So just remember that. But I think he's going to have a lot of play time as well as a starter. He's going to have to start because there's no Willie Barton. All right, a small forward, love Marichek here. Definitely got, I mean, I think he's a little cheap for his price, right, for his output right now. 33 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 47.7 fantasy points, nearly 48 per game. At 7,004, you need 37. And on DK, he's 7,200. He only needs 36, 35 over there. So the numbers are fantastic for him, man. I think this price is a little low, and until his price is above 8, then I maybe get a little concerned. As long as they keep him at this price on both of the sides, I'm going to definitely keep using him, especially if the matchup is ideal, and it is again today. Last 2 games, 45 and 49, solid all the way across. Look at this, 36 floor points. That's more than 1 point per minute from the floor, not even fantasy points. He crushed fantasy points per minute as well. So he did both. And over here, 29 minutes, 30. He exceeded there as well. This is exceeding value in both aspects. You're getting fantasy points above fantasy points per minute, and you're also getting 1 point per minute on the floor. It's absolutely, almost missed a double-double 2 times in a row. So not bad, man, for Mr. Marichek. Going up against the Clippers. The Clippers, 27 fantasy points per game thus far during the course of this season. And their biggest output they have given out to is to Paul George, who is at put up 38. I think Marichek, for the usage he gets and what they need him to do on this team, I think he's a solid play. I mean, 45 and 49, like I said, look at the minutes, consistent. I already told you, more than fantasy, 1 fantasy point per minute, more than 1 point per minute. And look at the shots, 29 from the floor, 9 from 3. Got 9 rebounds, 2 assists. And over here, yeah, 20 from the floor and 8 from 3. 28 shots and 20 and 30 shots. The last 2 games combined between threes and on the floor. The usage rate is there, man. I mean, it's just simple. You know, you just say to yourself, hey, you know what? You have to have a little bit of exposure. Granted, you know, some of these guys in New Orleans, a 3-game slate like this, they're going to probably be, you know, a little chalky. And I won't say extremely chalky, maybe 30, 35%. But nonetheless, I think they're just great plays. You just really can't pass them up. And against the Clippers, He did 52 last year in his last game against them. So he has had a wonderful time thus far this year, and he's capable of putting up 50 against this team. So I definitely love him. I think Marichik is just a little too cheap as far as price. You can't pass him up. Next after that, I mean, I am not going to pass up. Over here, I'm really not in love with these bottom tier guys at all. I don't see any really true value. Moore might be a solid play here. You could consider Stanley Johnson, but again, I think Moore is probably better there. I'm going to go with Robert Covington. He's going to get a few more minutes on the floor. And Robert Covington is a shooter. He's basically, if he's on from the three-point shot or the perimeter, he's going to be good. Other than that, I mean, he really doesn't do a whole lot of anything else. He does have a couple blocks. He can defend as far as getting steals and blocks, but he doesn't really pass the ball much. He gets his occasional rebounds. He'll get 4 or 5 on the regular, but he's been pretty solid. 13.5 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 27.8 fantasy points per game, pretty much 28 a game. He's at 6,001. You need about 30, which I think he can get. That's really, really close to his average. And then at 5,005 on DK, I think he's an excellent price at DK. 2,700 you need there. That's about where he's at right now. So I think he can definitely get it done. And you come over here and look at him a little bit further. His usage rate is not going to be huge because he's not the go-to guy on this team. Obviously, Ben Simmons and Embiid are the top 2 guys. But you look, he does have those moments where he is pretty good, and the beauty of it is that he does do a little bit of everything. He's a little scrappy. You got the rebounds, you got the assists, 1 assist a game, but he goes and he gets 2 steals, gets a block, and as you can see, he's done that 3 games in a row. We go up against Detroit, and he was solid with Detroit last year. That is pretty nice numbers, 33, 49, and 34, so he's capable of getting 40-plus on Detroit. He did it last year in 38 minutes. He's going to get a little bit more minutes in this matchup, I believe. I think he's just a solid play, man. He's one that could be very sneaky. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Covington. All right, so that's where I'm at with the small forwards. And I would say Mr. Etuan Moore might be a little sneaky play there on the bottom for the Pelicans. Power forward, I mean, nobody should be passing up at Anthony Davis because he's capable of putting, but 13,000 here. I think he's an excellent play on DK. On DK, he is 11-4, so you need about 56, 57 there, and that's very doable on a game like this tonight. But over here, you need 65 to get 13. 13,000 at 5x is 65 fantasy points. He's averaging 67. He can get there. There's no doubt he could put up 80. It's just going to be a little tough. I think on FanDuel, I'll probably fade him, maybe put him in a lineup. I'm going to have some interest and I'm going to have some exposure to him, but not as a core play on all my lineups. I think I'll put him in 1 or 2 and definitely play him in a few more on DK. But I'm going to bypass him here. I think he's definitely an excellent play. He's definitely in a fine spot. There's no doubt about it. Well, let's go with Mr. Jokic, man. 10,600. I don't know why he's on FanDuel as a power forward, but he is. And at 10,006, you pretty much need from him 52, 53, and that's actually below his average. His average is 56. He's coming in 26.3 points per game, 10 rebounds, 7.3 assists, 56 fantasy points. And like I said, at 10.6, you need about 53. And on DK, he's 9,700. You need 47, probably 48, and he'll come in. And I think he can get 50 in this game against Sacramento. Now, granted, he hasn't played. When I go to the Cruncher, I noticed that he did not play that well against Sacramento last year. But nonetheless, man, I mean, the usage he's going to get here, if there's no Jamal Murray, this game is going to revolve around him and Gary Harris. They're going to have to step up. And other than that, Mr. Millsap is going to have to get some rebounds and put up some points as well. But it's going to be Jokic, and it's going to be Mr. Harris. 32, 23, 11, 6, 43 fantasy points in the last game. He did have a 79, pretty much an 80 spot here. We go to the Cruncher, go to power forward, and Mr. Jokic. And the shots are there, man. I mean, usage rate is over pretty much 21% or better almost every single game. He took 11 shots from the floor, hit all 11, hit 3 threes, and had only missed 1 shot from the free throw line the other day. It was just fantastic. Obviously, you do that and you go and do stuff like this, get 1 block and 4 steals and 11 assists and 12 rebounds. You're going to score 70, 80 fantasy points every single night. Granted, he's not going to do that every single night, but he definitely has a shot to do it again here today. As far as getting above 50, I think he could definitely get you 50 or better in this matchup. So, I don't need to look any further. Obviously, real quickly, he did have a 55 spot in the last game against Sacramento last year where he played 29 minutes, only had 19% usage rate, but he was fantastic across the board, doing a little bit of everything. Block, 2 steals, 10 assists, 11 rebounds. I mean, it just goes on and on. Usage rate, shots, the time on the floor, all that is all good for Mr. Jokic. Next, I think here, man, to be honest with you, with obviously Ben Simmons more than likely out, I like Dario Saric here, man, to be someone to be able to get you 30 or better. At 59, you need about 28, 29. He's at 10.7 points, 8.5 rebounds a game, 3 assists, 25.5 fantasy points per game. He needs about 29 here. He's a little more pricey on DK. When I checked, he was $6,100, so that's $200 more. You need 30. I still think he can get 30. Every time Ben Simmons was out last year and he played up front, he definitely did very well against everybody he played against. He had some really, really impressive games. He's been pretty solid thus far. The last 2 games, he's pretty much averaging about 32.5 fantasy points, 37, 13, 9, 5, 1, and 1. He's been pretty solid, man. I think he's definitely someone here. I'm just throwing somebody out there that I believe is in a favorable matchup, is going to probably get a little bit more time on the floor, and is going to get more touches and more shots. He's been averaging in the 38 minutes in the last game. He put up 12 from the floor and 8 from 3. As we know, if he gets hot from 3, they're going to keep feeding him. And we also know that he's willing to get down and dirty and get in the paint and get some rebounds. He had 9 in the last game and 10 the prior game before that. And he's pretty solid. He'll definitely defend. He'll get some blocks. He'll get some steals. He's a really physical guy that loves playing. That's his style. So Mr. Saric, for me, is definitely someone to consider here at 5,900 in a favorable matchup. Obviously, you still have Lyles here as well. I think Griffin and Harris are both in great spots. I'm going to have some exposure to some of my lineups with those guys because they are in good matchups as well. I just think that Jokic, under the circumstances, obviously Davis and Mr. Saric, I think they're in their best possible position. At center, we'll go over the center real quick. Joel Embiid. Embiid is in play, man. Drummond has an illness, but I think I last had a notification a couple hours ago saying that he is going to play. So I don't know. I think he had flu-like symptoms or whatever the case may be. Nonetheless, I mean, we don't know if he's going to be 100 or 100%. Joel Embiid definitely is the better center. I mean, Drummond is he's a big rebounder. He could put a lot of balls back in the basket up close. But Embiid has some pretty good post-up move. He's very aggressive. He can definitely shoot. He can even hit the threes. He's a pretty good free throw shooter as well. Again, he's just a solid play, man. At 10,700 in a matchup where there's no Ben Simmons, we know that the offense has got to revolve around this guy a bit more. 28 points, 10 rebounds, pretty much 11 rebounds a game if you want to really get a little closer. 2.7 assists, which is more like 3 to me. 51, pretty much a 51 spot there as well. Like I said, needs 53 to cover here. And DK is 10,400. You need about 51, 52. So pretty much on both sides, you need about over 50. He is capable of getting 50. He was already got 60 against the Chicago Bulls. We'll come over here and we'll take a look at him a little bit more on the cruncher. And the usage is there, 27% and 36. We know the shots are there. I mean, it's not much really to say. He's going to do a little bit of everything. He is capable of getting some blocks and steals any given day as well. That's all added fantasy points for us. I love him there. Let's see how he did against Detroit. Didn't do well, just like I remember. Didn't do well against Detroit when Andrew Drummond in the past, the last 3 games last year. Or actually, 3 games last year. Nonetheless, that's around the same price range, maybe $200 more now. But same usage rate. He just was a little off in his shot that day. There's no doubt about it. He didn't do enough over here as far as rebounding and everything else as far as defense, getting those added fantasy points. But we know he's capable of it. I'm looking at more at I'm a statistics guy, as you guys know. I'm going to definitely look at all statistics as we continue to go further into the season. But something like this, when you know that there's going to be an opportunity for him to play even longer on the court and take more shots because he has one of his better players down, like Simmons, you got to have some exposure to him. Now, granted, some people are going to he may be highly owned. I won't say he'll be chalk like 70, 80% on a 3-game slate, but he'll probably be 50%. I could see that happening. So if you don't want to go with Embiid, you got to go with I would say you got to go with Stein or Randall. I'm not in favor of Drummond today, but then again, I've been wrong before. Guys come out and produce. But Julius Randle, man, is a great signing by New Orleans, man, filling in. He's been fantastic. 19 points, 11 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 34 fantasy points. He's at 7,008. You pretty much need 37, 38. And at 6,700 on DK, he is priced really nice on DK. 3,400, you need 34 to cover there. And that's about where he's at right now. So I think he's okay on either one of the spots. If you want to pay down on Embiid and save a ton, you'll save 2,500 if you go with Julius Randle, and you can pay up somewhere else. If you wish to do so. I know that I'm going to have some exposure to him as well in some of my lineups tonight. 24, 13, and 4. He's been solid in the minutes he's played, more than 1 point per minute, okay, for Julius Randle. See, 28 here in 24 minutes. He exceeded 1 fantasy point per minute, but then at the same time, he 6 of 12, 1 of 2, 50% pretty much shooting there, 14 rebounds. You can't go wrong. This guy is very, very physical. He's very athletic, and he's tough, man. He's a banger. He loves the contact, and he loves the transition game. He loves the pace, and he's a perfect fit for this team, man. This team, to me, to be honest with you, this team, I think, is better than it was last year, and last year they were pretty good. So the longest they're bearing any serious injury to anybody, especially Anthony Davis, who we all know has a tendency of being a little, soft at times, that'd be the only drawback for this team, is losing Anthony Davis. And then, of course, you got Stein here. I think Stein is in a good spot. He's been pretty good this year, 22 and 26, just not enough minutes. That's the only thing I'm scared of. I like to see more minutes than this from a starting center. The usage rate for that, a little bit amount of minutes, is pretty darn good. That means that when he's in there for those 22 minutes, they are utilizing him, and he is getting to work. 11 shots in 22 minutes, put up 13 floor points and 7 rebounds. That is not too bad for 22 minutes. Give him 30 to 35 minutes, and I see what he can do. Tonight is a night that he should be on the floor more, because he's got to go up against Jokic, and they need him. They need his body. They need him to go out there and put 30 to 35 minutes or better in this game. So he could be someone here that you can have at 7,400, and he's 5,900 on DK, much more cheaper, man. At 5,900, you basically only need 29 from this guy, and he's pretty much at that range the last 2 games, and we know that he has 40-point upside, you can see here, and he did it. Look how many times last year to end the year. He ended the year fabulous last year, 43, 42, and 43. So we know he's capable of putting 40 to 45 easy. He's definitely someone that has a pretty decent ceiling here. His floor is not going to be too bad either. He's going to probably only the lowest he'll probably go is 20 points. So I think he's a fair play. So you got those guys there. So if you don't want to pay for Embiid, I would say Randle or Stein. Either one of the two is good, because you look at Gortat here. I don't know how Gortat is going to handle Randle at all. Randle is going to just eat him up. And then Stein is in a good spot, other than he's a little athletic, but Jokic is he's a beast, man. He's just a beast. Anyway, well, that's where I'm at, guys. I wanted to do something really quick for you guys, man. I hope you liked the video. Drop a like, man. I appreciate it. I hope it helps. I know that everybody's probably gone and seen a whole bunch of videos, got already what they want to play tonight, but I figure, hey, you know what? For my audience, my viewers, the least I can do is try to draw something up real quick and give it to you guys, all right? So good luck with that. Tomorrow's video will be up, obviously, a lot sooner. And I also got the NFL quarterback and running backs coming at your way as well for those NFL DFS players that follow us here at DFS Zone. All right, everybody, have a blessed day.